And generally speaking, it generates 1,000 lines of PII data, and I even built a loan check in it to actually generate real-looking credit card numbers, because some devices are smart enough to like do a loan check, and so basically this would look like if you place it in the right place in your network, it would look like credit cards or SSNs are leaking, and also you have the capability to generate any kind of other traffic that you want to trigger. It meets a lot of criteria of different devices like DLP and IDSs because it generates a three-way handshake and you're pulling data across the network. And that was a big challenge, but it's easy to do with Metasploit framework to be able to generate these things. So this web server module is typically used for stuff like DB, browser autopwn and other kind of things in Metasploit. But I'm using everything for a totally different purpose than it is. I'm trying to use Metasploit more for good than evil. Okay. You can. I played around with all kind of stuff. I basically created a module that actually lets you download, randomly download stuff. Metasploit hosts that and sends files, harmless stuff. The web beaconing, and I actually have, and I think I might have changed the name of this to web querying, but actually when I got to Vegas after 4 days of travel, my Windows 7 laptop was totally blue screened, and I lost everything. So this is actually like a good attempt of making good on a presentation. So the web beaconing simply is, in a lot of government organizations, I see it time and time again that like someone like US CERT or some outside third party has to notify a government agency that they've been compromised and are beaconing to China or whatever it may be. They've been affected with Zeus or any other kind of malware, and it happens all the time. And what's funny about that is even though people may block that traffic, I often wonder, like, why didn't the organization see that traffic first? And so one of the things I think this is one of the most important things that I've been doing is playing around with this web beaconing and actually doing research on the different types of malware and botnets, and actually allowing people to upload their own list of DNS entries to actually test this out. And what's cool about it, I'm actually kind of a packet junkie still, so I do Wireshark captures to make sure that everything is really happening. So basically, the scenario would be this: you set Metasploit on your network on any kind of VLAN, and just to test your network, just put it on your network and start doing these malicious queries. I have Zeus, Mariposa, and also the ability to do anything you want. I mean, people are looking for different signatures, and it actually you can iterate this over a number of times. Also, vulnerable headers. There's several vendors that actually do like passive vulnerability scanning, like Tenable. SourceFire actually can monitor. I think they have a product called RNA, which it actually sees what kind of devices you have in your network. And so sometimes people don't know. So this vulnerable header thing, what I did is I took a list of vulnerable headers, right? And I was like, just drop these on the network to see if anybody's paying attention. So if you have an IS-4 or 5 server on your network that pops up and you don't know it, I mean, do you have the ability to even see that? So these are the kind of things I'm talking about testing. And so here's a PCAP of the actual, and you can probably see over there, if you can't see it, that it's an old vulnerable header. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to Dave real quick, and he's going to be talking about writing vSploit modules for a second.
So can I get a quick show of hands of how many people have actually written a module for Metasploit? Okay, so not too many of you. All right. This is just going to be like a really quick overview of some of the features and some of the, like the ways of developing a module for Metasploit. First of all, Metasploit is written in Ruby, so if you're going to write a module for Ruby or for Metasploit, it's really good to know Ruby. And here's a few links, and there's some book titles on there. The slides will be available after the talk, so you can go back and look at them then. So Metasploit has a whole bunch of support for just about everything you can imagine. A lot of it originated for like a need for protocol support and all kinds of other kind of support that we needed for exploit development and post-exploitation and auxiliary modules and everything like that. So we have pretty much anything you can think of in there. And this comes in really handy when you're developing a module because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there for you. And this is just a few of the mix-ins that we have. And what a mix-in is basically like a library that you can include into your module and just call methods out of it. And we have HTTP server, client, we have a scanner module, and SMTP modules. So we have a lot of functionality in there, and there's many, many more in there. You just have to look at the code and kind of dig in. All right, so I'm gonna actually give you guys a little view of some code. Here, let me. Got all this. Oh, all right. So one of the modules that Marcus was just talking about is the web PII module. And basically what it does is it sets up a web server and it dumps a whole lot of data that looks like personal information. And the hopes is that DLP devices on your network will catch that stuff. So first of all, every module in Metasploit starts with this base class, Metasploit 3. Now we're on Metasploit 4, which just came out August 1st. So that class name is going to be changing to Metasploit 4. And with each module, you inherit the type of module that you're going to be writing, which is the MSF auxiliary in this case. And right here with the include, this is actually the mix-ins. Both of these are mix-ins. We actually wrote the PII mix-in today. And what that does is generate all that PII data for you. So you can write any module you want. If you want that module to exfiltrate PII information, you can do that. Just include this mix-in, and it's there for you. All the generating code is there. So you don't have to sit there and try to generate and match, any kind of format for the PII. It's already there and done for you. And then we have the initialize for the class itself. Each module is a class. And this right here, this is the information structure. So this gives all the information to the users about what your module does, what the name of the module is, who wrote the module, what revision number you're actually on when the module, like when it was last updated. And you can also include like references for anything that you write. If you find information out on the web and you think other people are going to find it useful, you can add those references into your module. And anyone who views your code can see that references. There's a lot of other things. It gets a little bit more complicated. Like you have default options, and you can register options that you want for your module. So when someone is using your module, they have to configure it. They need a, in this case, we're using meta refresh as one of the options. So you can tell the module whether or not you want to auto-refresh the web page with the PII data that it's dropping. And you can also change the amount of time and the number of PII entries that's generated. So this is just a function that Marcus wrote called create page, and it has this really awesome ASCII sheep. I love the ASCII sheep.
It's my greatest accomplishment.
It is your greatest accomplishment. All right, and so right here, he's actually building up the HTML of the web page that he's dropping. And you can see here he does a little check for the meta refresh option. So when you're actually writing a module and you want to get the information that the user configured, you access it through the data store. Everything is stored in the data store whenever there's an option that a user can set. So as long as you know the name of the option, you can get the information out of that. It's just like a variable. So yeah, here he's just setting up the HTML. He's doing some more checking on some options. And right here, we're using the mixin, the PII mixin that we wrote today, to actually generate the PII data. And that's what this create PII call right here is. And that's actually what generates everything for you. And that will put the PII data on the page right here. Okay, and then this onRequest URI function, that's actually an overloaded function from the HTTP server mixin. So what happens is when a request for your web server comes in, this function is what's called. And you have the CLI and the request variables that are passed to the function, and that can give you detailed information about what the request was, where it came from, a whole lot of information about the client, user agent, everything. Everything that you could think of is in there in terms of a web request that would be coming your way. So right here is where he's calling that create page function that we went over. And this is the function that builds the page and has the awesome ASCII sheep that I love. And right here, the send response function. This is also part of the HTTP server mixin. So you can just call this directly. You don't have to do any kind of strange namespace convention or anything like that, because you've already done it with the include. And this will just send the response to the client. And right here is the run function. And whenever you're writing an auxiliary module, to actually run the module, the command is run. So the initial starting point of the module starts in the run function. So it's pretty simple. So that's just one of the modules that we did. Now I'll give you guys a quick look at the PII mixin that we wrote today. And this is the one that generates everything for you. So mixins are a little bit different. They're not really like a module. They're just something that you can include. It's a library that you include into your module and use the functionality of that library. So this is just defining the namespace of the library itself. So it starts off with MSF, and then down here you define that it's an auxiliary module, and finally that the namespace should end with PII, which is the name of the mixin. And down here you have the initialize function, which is actually sort of an override of the auxiliary modules initialize. And this is what will set up options for that particular mixin. So the module itself, the auxiliary module, will inherit these options. So you'll have an entries option and an email domain option within the module if you include this.